All right, how's it going, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me once again. Today we are back with episode 7 of the podcast, TREVANS Talks. This time I am recording it at night, so if you're wondering why, the lighting is so weird, and I have this shadow behind me because of a light in front of me, because I'm not using natural light this time. As well as that, you'll also notice I'm at a different location if you're watching this on YouTube. I forgot to mention, if you're listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, or Google, obviously you're not having such an issue, but if you do want to watch the video portion, that is up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/SquirtyTrev1. For those of you who are watching on YouTube right now, that's why everything is so weird. I'm at a different house. I'm currently at my father's house, which is why the setting is so different, and I have to kind of adjust everything. But thank you all so much for joining me today. I've had a very nice productive day today. I had a lot of hours at at my job, my part-time job that I did on purpose because I'm trying to go through the whole take more hours so you can get more cash to save up kind of thing. But other than that, I've been doing a lot. Like at home, editing Instagram posts to get together, keeping on Twitter, the blog. I uploaded the Dark Knight cinema talk today, which was really great. But yeah, today I kind of wanted to talk just specifically about me, specifically as a filmmaker and just as a film lover and a film viewer and all different kinds of things that go with that, such as like my style that I like to watch, my style I like to make, my favorite films and directors and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to go more into myself today so that you guys can kind of, learn more about me, and especially, as me as a filmmaker, because, no matter what, I'm filmmaker first, over brand growth. I consider myself a filmmaker. And so, yeah, I just want to make a podcast that is literally just talking about me as a filmmaker. So, as I'm sure a bunch of you know now from watching the last podcast, or I think it might have been the one before. I don't fully know, but also, or just watching my short film that I released my first ever real short film, like my first ever real professionally done short film. And of course, professional is like to an extent my sort of professional right now, which is I take all the time to fully write it out. Fully, storyboard, get actors together and everything. My first real professional short film, because of course, like I said before, I had all the, there's all that weird crap that you do in in like school projects and like middle school and high school that, you just gotta quickly get done just to, put the assignment in. But this is my first real professional one. It was a really great experience, super awesome, everything that I hoped it would be. And yeah, I definitely did learn that, I actually thought it was really interesting that I didn't even mean for this to happen, but it happened to be very quick pace. Like, of course, naturally it's 3 minutes, so a default is like, if you're making a 3-minute short film, like you have to it's gonna come off as fast paced, but that's not necessarily true. I mean, you could make a short film in 3 minutes that has like 20 shots and it's not that quick. It's basically just on the short film that you write. And I happen to write one that is like specifically centered around being very fast at some points and very slow at other points. Super tonally different. Which is interesting because I never in particular saw myself as a very quick-paced, fast-paced filmmaker like myself. Although I will say it actually does kind of make some sense because I have a history of really loving a lot of films that are really fast-paced and just always constantly moving. And that's why Edgar Wright is actually one of my favorite directors. Baby Driver was super awesome. I loved Baby Driver, and I was, just caught in the film the entire time. And it sucked to have it end. And yeah, just the rest of, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, just all of Edgar Wright is just my kind of director, definitely. But at the same time, there is still that slow filmmaker in me who likes that really slow and like contemplative, kind of filmmaking. And that's why someone like Christopher Nolan, I think, is super awesome. Of course, that goes really well with the fact that I just saw, I just did my cinema talk for The Dark Knight. But yeah, obviously two polar opposite directors in terms of like styles, but two of my favorite directors. And I will say, of course, I did just point out two very modern directors, like literally two people who are currently, making films and are currently big because of the films that they're making right now. Of course, Edgar Wright is more up and coming than Christopher Nolan is, but still, they're like modern media, modern filmmaking directors, and that's something that I've also learned about myself, which makes sense with the fact that I'm a teenager, I'm an 18-year-old growing up and everything. I definitely do. I'm a really big new media kind of person, and that obviously goes really well with this whole social media kick and everything that I'm doing. But yeah, it goes with filmmaking as well. I'm very new. I'm very modern in what I like. Don't get me wrong. I still can really love really old films. For me, it's like no matter what, if a film is like fundamentally and technically good, just there's like not really much argument to it, then I'm gonna love it no matter what. If it's just really, if it's just technically and fundamentally amazing, then I'm gonna love it. That's just how it works. I can watch a film from 1940s and still love it. Actually, one of my favorite films in my like top 20, or well, I don't, at least top 50. I don't, I have like a huge list. As if you're a filmmaker or if you're a film lover, it's really hard to choose favorite movies. But I'd say probably in my top 25, maybe I'll commit to saying in my top 20, Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is in there because I'm a huge. That's another thing about me. I'm a huge horror movie fan. I love the horror genre so much. And that's one thing that I definitely will say with, modern movies and everything, and, the modern new media era and everything, is I really don't like what the whole, like, trends of what horror movies have been over the past, like, I don't know, decade or so. Just falling into so many tropes, and, no original ideas, really, and it's just a bunch of crap. Although recently, as in within the last like 3 years, there's been, actually I'd say like 4 years or so, there's been some pretty cool stuff that's starting to come, it's starting to come out, and I think it's starting to change the horror genre, which I absolutely love. Of course, it started with something such as The Babadook, which I believe was 2014. The first time I watched this movie, I actually hated it. Surprisingly enough, that was back when I didn't really know that much about filmmaking. I didn't really know that much about myself. And then I kind of started thinking about it again, and I rewatched it, and I was like, whoa, okay, yeah, I don't know how the hell I could crap on this movie so much. And just recently, things like Jordan Peele, I love what he's doing. Get Out was also a movie that the first time I saw it, I was like meh, but I have this new mindset, and now I'm growing, I'm older, and I'm learning more about filmmaking, and all of a sudden, and I'm learning what I like, and all of a sudden I watch it again, and I'm like, wow, this is super incredible, and of course he has his new movie coming out, Us, which I am actually seeing tomorrow. Or actually, when this podcast is up, seeing it today. In fact, it's possible when you're listening to this right now, I'm seeing it, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm super excited with what Jordan Peele's doing. Just putting thought into horror, and not just like, oh, there's a scary monster, and like that's what you're scared. You're scared of the scary monster because look at the big, like just like there's a thing in the dark kind of thing. But it's like it's really getting into like the mental, like really getting into your head. Kind of horror that I love that's coming back, and of course A Quiet Place with John Krasinski's A Quiet Place. I love that film so much as well. I think it deserved more recognition than it got, but I understand award-wise horror movies have not always have kind of not always been given probably what they should, the props that they should. But yeah, there's a lot of horror the horror genre seems to be in another changing path within the last, 4 or 5-ish. You might say more like 4, mainly in the last 3 years. And I love that so much. I love the horror genre. I would have to say, if someone were to like say to me right now, okay, you get one movie to make, in your lifetime, you get one feature film, one box office hit feature film to make. What it would honestly, it would probably be a horror. I won't commit to that because whatever I'm currently into at the time, if I'm just into super quick pace, that kind of thing, that just happens to be where my mindset is, then I would make that. But consistently throughout all of my thoughts of filmmaking. Sorry, I hit the mic. But I think I would want to make a horror movie, definitely, and try and make like like the rest of these amazing directors who are coming out nowadays, try and make a really groundbreaking horror movie that doesn't stick to all these tropes that have been so present within the these years, and just make something that is just really new and really awesome. But yeah, I love the horror genre, and I love really quick-paced films and everything. And I guess that leads me into my favorite films. Now, like I said before, if you're a film lover, then you understand it's really hard to make a list of your favorite film, especially saying one film, one movie is my favorite movie, is one of the hardest things to do. At least, definitely for me personally. I don't have one favorite movie. I can't do that. I just can't do that. Too many movies are too amazing, and you just can't do that. And one thing that I do believe is also, you can't rank movies based on each other kind of thing. That's why there's no such thing as one movie that is the best movie ever. It's not it's a creative field. Filmmaking is an art form, so it's impossible to rank everything on a list. That's why something on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, the highest ranked films kind of thing, that's just all crap, because you can't, I mean, don't get me wrong, I go to IMDb all the time for my ratings to see what other people think and stuff like that. Every time I see a movie, I rank it on IMDb. That's the first thing I do, because that's just kind of my hub for my movie rankings and everything. But I mean, in terms of IMDb has their top 250 films or whatever. I think that's just really stupid, because it's just I guess it's it's by ratings of judges and critics and and the public and everything. So it's people actually ranking them, giving them stars. It's not everyone's actually ranking them, but still in the form of if you were to put this movie is the best, this movie is the second best, that's just it's just dumb. It's literally it just can't be done. But anyway, yeah, so it's very hard for me to say my favorite movies. I started a note thing on my phone, because I've had a bad memory, so I have to write things on my notes on my phone. And one of the things that I did one day was I decided to write my favorite movies. And I basically said every movie that I watch that I think is really good, that deserves to be on my favorite movies, I'm gonna write down. And all of a sudden, I'm watching a ton of movies, and I'm rating a bunch of them on there, and it's over 100 right now. Which I know for all film viewers out there, you're 100, that's not that many movies, and in reality, it really is not. If there's one thing that I'm worst at when it comes to films and movies and filmmaking, it's actually watching enough content and watching enough films. I have not watched enough movies in my lifetime. I'm sure if I sat here and said all of the movies that I have not seen, all the classic movies I've not seen, I would get absolutely slaughtered by some people out there. So I'll save that for later, because there's too many movies that I have not seen, which that's something I need to change. But here's what I say: my top 3 movies, my top favorite 3, and it fluctuates which ones I like the most and stuff like that. Literally tomorrow I could have a different top 3. That's possible. That's just how it is. It's an art form, so it's based on how you currently feel, kind of thing. But I always say my top favorite 3 movies are 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, of course, a very recent one. I just absolutely loved it. I won't go into detail because this is not a cinema talk. This is just a chill podcast. But I love that film. And then I say both of the Blade Runners. I don't like to, they're so different on their own, but they're so dramatic and just masterpieces. You could watch if you like really are watching film techniques and everything. You could watch that movie an endless amount of times and learn more, or either of them, just so many times, literally just an endless amount of times, and you would keep learning more and more with each viewing, like seeing all the incredible things that they do and just how beautiful those films are. They're so amazing. And then the third movie that I say is Mad Max Fury Road. I talk about I like the fast, quick paced movies and everything. Well, Mad Max Fury Road, there you go. That's like a non-stop film. I mean, the entire movie is literally a car chase. So yeah, it's super awesome. And I'd say Mad Max Fury Road has consistently been the movie that I would say that I've said in the past is like, that is my favorite movie. So take with that what you will. Right now, where I'm at, I wouldn't say like I like it more than those two. Right now, I'm not gonna rank any three of them over each other or anything. Right now, I'm like, I just like all three of them. I don't have like a specific favorite or anything. But yeah, those are my favorite movies. Favorite directors. Of course, there's the modern Edgar Wright, Christopher Nolan, like I said. Of course, you have to love and respect Alfred Hitchcock. Like I said, I love what this like age of comedians going into horror movies. Is happening, like John Krasinski and Jordan Peele. It's super awesome. Steven Spielberg is just a legend. You can't not like my favorite thing about Steven Spielberg is just like the diversity and just the broad reach that his entire career of movies holds. Like it's so like something like E.T. and Jaws and like Indiana Jones and just all these different movies that are like, it's just so different. And he has really dramatic movies. It's just all the way down to like just movies that are meant to be really fun and family friendly and watchable by everyone. It's just his just broad reach, like his creative mind is just crazy. Of course, nowadays there's not such great stuff coming out, but still his career is just insane. You can't not, I mean, it's like it's like, who's the best director ever? Everyone's always like, yep, Steven Spielberg and everything like that. But it's you can't overlook him. I definitely don't think he's overrated. He's just, but I think one thing that is underrated that not everyone talks about is just his broad reach of just how much, God, just the amount, like I don't. It's just insane how his creative mind and the broad just expanse of all the different genres and all the different tones and themes that he goes through in his whole career is just absolutely insane. But yeah, favorite directors. I'm sure, just like movies, it's the kind of thing where I could sit here and just go on because you like different genres based on like how you're currently feeling. It's just what you currently like, and it's the same thing with filmmakers. Filmmakers make different genres, and each one of them, has their own styles. And so you at sometimes I like Alfred Hitchcock more, sometimes I like Edgar Wright more. It's just kind of how it is. So it's the same thing that you could go on forever talking about like what are my favorite and stuff like that. But yeah, I went through favorite movies, favorite directors and everything. My sort of filmmaking style, I of course have yet to really learn. I've made one professional short film. I hope to make many, many more in the future. And of course, the dream goal is to be creating feature films, big box office feature films, Netflix feature films, whatever the current, biggest standard for movies is. But yeah, I hope to one day be at that level. Of course, I'm at the very bottom right now. I almost couldn't be lower. The only way I could be lower if I didn't have a short film out, and now I do. So that's like tiny little step up. Still got tons of way to go. I still have so much more to learn about, writing and working with people and everything about just like just like all the process of making a film. Like, I can't even fathom yet how much you have to put into one project. Like, the fact that like, if you make just a normal 2 hour movie, which is like, I guess the standard nowadays, a normal 2 hour movie, and taking like some of those take like 3 or 4 years to make, thinking like 3 or 4 years of your life is spent on this one movie and this one project, and what is ultimately this one script. Like, of course, the script and all the dialogue and like how things happen will change, but like the general idea is always the same throughout the entire process. Like, you have to really be in love with this one project and in this one script that you wrote. Like, that's so crazy. So like, to work 3 to 4 years, like even working 1 year on a movie, which is like, I think like a normal amount of time. That's just like, that's not even like that crazy. And it's not, I think even in some cases, working 1 year in a movie is sometimes even really low. Like, the fact of one whole year, like, ultimately, yeah, 1 year in a person's life really isn't that much. But just thinking, it's not the fact that it's like, oh, that's so much of your life you're spending on one movie. It's not, that's not what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is like working on this one project for so long. That's so crazy. That's something that I really want to get the experience doing, because I have yet to do anything in the professional feature film business. I just believe right now, my current mindset, that that's what I love the most. But it's totally possible that I'll literally just go into it, get some opportunities, and be like, yeah, I hate this. This isn't for me. I mean, of course, my thought right now is not that. My thought is going to be, I'll get in there and I'll love it. But it's totally possible I could go in there and just absolutely hate it. I just haven't had the experience yet. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, I'm still 18. I still got, a long ways to go. So I still have a lot of, learning process to do. I still got much more life to live, knock on wood. But yeah, there's just so much more to learn, and ultimately there's not enough time. But I'm gonna keep doing what I can. I'm gonna keep up with all this content and everything. But yeah, I hope that kind of lets you guys kind of understand a little more about me in terms of my filmmaking, and what I love about filmmaking, favorite movies, favorite directors, just like everything. I'm sure there's tons and tons that I missed, because this is only currently a 23 and a half minute podcast. Actually, that's how long I've been recording. It's probably like 22 minutes or whatever. This is like a 22-minute podcast. That's not enough time to fit everything. But yeah, I hope this helps you guys kind of understand more about me and everything that has to do with filmmaking with me. I'd really love to hear about some of you guys, kind of your journeys, and what your favorite films, and what your style that you love to watch the most, and your style that you love to make the most, and everything. I want to learn more about you guys. Just like I want this channel to be kind of a vice versa, and not just this channel, but if you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, and Google, I want my whole brand and message to be like, I want to have the connection with everyone who's viewing. I want to build like a real community and everything. So but yeah, I hope you guys kind of learn a little about me. Let me know what you thought of the podcast. Let me know what different kind of things do you want to hear me like talk about. Excuse me. Obviously, we're in the beginning stages, so I need a bunch of stuff to talk about. So if anyone has like any sort of idea of what you want me to talk about, how about just literally put in the comments. And it's literally possible that the next day I'll put a podcast out that's talking about that specific thing. I will also say that I do have some things coming up where I'm going to have some guests on the podcast. I won't talk about who exactly yet. No one big, just some close friends of mine and everything, to kind of get some different perspectives, going on the podcast. But yeah, that should be really good. I really want to build my people skills and talking to other people, and something I think I would be interested in is also interviewing people. So I think that'll be super awesome. Stay tuned for that in the coming, I'll say like in the coming week. We'll have to see. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening, wherever you're watching or listening this to. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember that this is also on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts, if you prefer any of those to watch it on or to listen to it on. And if you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, or Google, remember that there is a video version of this on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Make sure to check out my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Real Trevor Evans. I also write a blog that is trevanswrites.com, TREVANS Writes, WRITES.com. And I'll see you guys around in the next one. Peace.